It is about to get heavy in college sports. I don't think people realize the level of or the depth of ugly we're about to get in college sports. It's interesting. So, by the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold on the Adam Gold Show. Victoria producing the show as always. One thing that we have to keep in mind when it comes to this House versus NCAA settlement, for those of you who don't know, it was a settlement from players going back to athletes, collegiate athletes going back to 2016, where, hey, we didn't have the opportunity to take advantage of our name, image, and likeness, especially seeing the growing revenue coming from college sports and everything going forward. Basically, like punitive damages and back pay, essentially, is what we're looking at here. Basically. So $2.8 billion is going to be paid out from the conferences over the next 10 years to athletes going back to 2016. Now they're going to try and figure out and equate what the percentages and the number, the value that each player is going to get. I mean, good luck trying to figure that out. I mean, because what does Zion Williamson get from 2018-19 from that Duke basketball season? What does he get versus name another athlete? You know, what's the value in that? So again, all things that have to be figured out as well. But when you think about what college athletes now, so part of that settlement, by the way, is not only that $2.8 billion being paid in punitive damages, but then you also have guardrails when it comes to name, image, and likeness, where anything not coming directly from the school, so any like third-party stuff that you might be getting, like for example, if there's a car dealership or an HVAC company or Gatorade, Nike wants to come in and pay you, anything over $600 you're supposed to report. And there's this accounting firm called Deloitte that's going to be used by the College Sports Commission, which is a new sports commission that was just formed out of this settlement, where I guess it seems like the conference commissioners and everyone's kind of on board with. That's going to look there and say, all right, what is the quote-unquote fair market value? What is going to be the range of, I guess, the range of compensation for all these NIL deals? And they're going to say, well, this is actually too much for what you're being paid to do. So, for example, Victoria, if I owned a sneaker store, okay, and I want you to come into my sneaker store to sign autographs, I know that's going to bring people into the business, and I'm going to give you $2,000 to sign autographs for an hour. I'm going to give you $2,000 to come in, and also maybe I'll throw in like $500 of store credit or something like that. Come in the store, do that, and because it's over $600, I got to report it and all that kind of stuff. And they say, well, actually, to do that for you, the fair market value is really only $1,500. Therefore, you can't do it. And now, if I'm an athlete, Victoria, I'm going to say, oh, so you're going to take money out of my pocket?
Right.
Hell no.
No, thank you.
Hell no. Mm-mm. Expect lawsuits to be filed, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Thamel of ESPN was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday discussing that whole fair market value.
The fair market value quote you just mentioned is not actually the term that's in the documents now. It's called range of compensation. And I think for the very reason of the legal ties to, they don't want to be the ones determining fair market value. So they're going to look at a range of compensation, see where this fits, and whether or not it is approved. It's going to be a lot easier to talk about these deals once we see them approved or not approved than in the theoretical. And nobody really knows, Pat, how it's going to go until the deals are funneled through the system and ultimately they are done.
So, range of compensation. To me, range of compensation, what does that even mean? Because last time I checked, Victoria, I'm actually, Pat McAfee actually mentioned this earlier, so I'm actually going to quote him or reference him on this. He's like, you know what? No one got $40 million as a pass rusher in the NFL until someone did. No one got $50 million a year as a quarterback until someone did. Eventually, that market and that range moves. So that's my question. Is like, okay, well, if Nike sees value in me to offer me a contract that's worth 7 figures, $1 million, let's just say, because I'm a big-time basketball player at North Carolina or Duke, for example. Let's say they want to offer me $1 million to endorse their products in commercials or whatever it might be, based off what I'm asked to do. If they say, no, actually, what that fair range is, that fair market value or that range of compensation as they use, it's actually more of like $500,000 to $700,000 is the range for that. Well, they're offering me $1 million. Well, it's only $700,000. Well, they're offering me $1 million. So you're going to try and take $300,000 out of my pocket? Like I said, Victoria, hell no. Absolutely not.
Nobody would sign up for that.
Yeah, because last time I checked, that's a private business. If they want to pay me for something, that's for them. That's for them to decide. You know what my fair market value is? Whatever someone's willing to pay me. It's no different than us going to do any of our jobs. Hey, if so-and-so down the street wants to pay you to do this job, well, that's your rate. Doesn't matter what other businesses might be offering. That's your rate. That's what I'm willing to pay you to do this job. It's no different than you trying to talk to like a general contractor because you got to do some house repair, or a lawn service company to be like, hey, I got to get these vines cleared out of my yard. What's the price? Well, for us, this is how much I charge, $2,000. Another lawn care service says, well, we'll do that same thing. My rate's $1,500. I have the right to pay and choose whomever I damn well please. So good luck enforcing that. Good luck enforcing that, NCAA. Because there is a process, though, if the compensation that's being offered is over what they believe to be the range of compensation. For example, that $1 million that someone might be offered versus the $700,000. Well, then it actually goes to arbitration. And an arbiter can decide what the fair market value is. Guess what? I don't care. If someone is offering me $1 million to do something, or even it's $1,000 to do something, I don't care what the price is. If someone's willing to pay me for that, I should be able to get every damn dime I'm worth. That's how I view it. That's how I view it. So in my eyes, yes, you can have the revenue sharing from the schools directly for themselves that go directly to the players. If you want to track that, fine, because again, that's part of a revenue share. But anything third party that wants to get paid to me, kick rocks. I think, Victoria, we're going to get to a point where we're going to see, I think it's going to happen very, very soon. We're going to get to a point where either schools and people aren't going to report what's going to be paid to them. Also, I think it was The Athletic that actually mentioned this earlier today. You know what's probably going to come back? The bag man.
Yeah. The
person that was the whole reason why the NIL stuff was there to begin with. Someone with a bag of money being like, hey, just to let you know, there's a box over there that has your name on it. I got to go over here real fast. And guess what? There's cash in the box or whatever it is. The whole reports of remember Tennessee football, recruits bringing recruits through a drive-through of a restaurant, a fast food place, and the bags with the food had cash in them.
Right.
You're going to bring that back because guess what? If I'm going to find a way to pay this person whatever I want to pay them, well, guess what? I'm going to make sure they get that money. Even if some other party says no, guess what? I'm going to find a way to get it to you. I'm going to find a way to get it to you because that's just what it is. That's just what it is. And I have no problem with that happening. No problem with it. Again, in my eyes, I'm going to say this again. The NCAA, this whole College Sports Commission, when it comes to actually the whole Deloitte and the fair compensation, the guardrails and all that stuff, I don't see it lasting. I just don't see it lasting. You know who's going to really benefit from all this, Victoria? The lawyers.
Big time.
All more billable hours, folks. Mm-hmm. All the billable hours.
And they get a cut if you win your lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. Billable hours are going to be plentiful. Mm-hmm. Now, what the question is also as well is what happens to NIL collectives? So, it was with the Savage Wolves with NC State and some of these other ones. What happens to them? Are they still going to be able to get money from these third-party places to give money to players? How is this all going to work? Pete Thamel from ESPN, again, on with the Pat McAfee show yesterday, talked about what's going to happen with NIL collectives.
So the collectives are still going to exist. I think ideally when they start to set up this system, they set it up so that the collectives would no longer be part of the industry. But that's just not the case in a free market, like we say. So ultimately, I see the collectives becoming almost like marketing arms that are going to help players get deals. And if you have a professional one that falls within industry standards, that becomes a competitive advantage for you. So basically, all those teams that Pat just mentioned, the Ducks, the Buckeyes, the Wolverines, the Longhorns, etc., they are going to have access to more deals, and that is essentially going to give them an advantage outside of the $20.5 million and how it all works.
It's only going to get uglier. That's how I started this whole segment. It's going to get uglier before it even gets better. And here's something as well, is that even with the revenue sharing and those kinds of things, with all these attempts of guardrails that they put up, I don't know if it is better. I don't know. We'll find out.